sad, bad Fender 2.0. Hello, welcome back to Loving's Guitar, to the series of This Is Not a Gear Show. Because every time you see me here in the backyard, obviously I'm not bringing out my guitar so they can get all unclimatized. Anyway, today's discussion revolves around Fender again because, Fender, they're upping the ante. And what I mean by that, they've gone from bad or even sad to now sad, bad 2.0. How did that happen? All of this has not gained anything for Fender except an emotional distress spread out worldwide. And for what? I'm trying to figure out what that reason might have been. I mean, at first it could have been decades ago for maybe an intellectual property protection and all of that stuff. And they're calling this art. It's the art of the bullshit, and the art of the inhumane, the art of stealing people's love of what once was Leo Fender's intelligent design for the world to use, and like a freaking hammer. Oh, I guess we should start. I guess those who invented the first hammer should, you know what? All hammers should be they should all be destroyed, because I'm sure the first person who created the hammer should have all the claims to the freaking hammer. Okay. Well, you know what? Just change the hammer slightly, and that same hammer can still build a house. And you know what, Fender? You're doing a terrible job right now. Because obviously the news is out that PRS got that cease and desist letter. And I'm going to figure that Paul, Mr. Smith, that is, he ain't gonna back down that easily. And he's got the weight supported by the rest of his followers and those who love PRS to support him. And I don't think Fender's ever going to recover from this. Now, granted, a little bit more than a week now has passed since Fender decided to ruffle the edges of those who are competing with Fender. And now Fender, news got out that Fender now is after PRS. Well, you know what, Fender? There's a reason why folks have chosen to purchase a PRS model that is, for all extensive purposes, very expensive for many folks. And it competes with Fender, but not so much in design, but in quality. And so, here's the thing, Fender. You know what? As I mentioned once before, you mess with a musician's emotions, and chances are you're not going to win them back, because that emotional glue that binds everything together for a musician and a reason why they purchase certain equipment, well, all of that stuff is emotional purchases, right? And so you may not have stepped on the toes as hard as you thought you did on those who love you before your cease and desist letters were spread out worldwide, because that you're affecting those folks who had loved you for decades. But now you're messing on the toes of people who love their guitars, and that could be PRS, it could be Shure, it could be Sire, it could be a whole lot of things now, and that's unfair. Unfair to the people who have supported you for decades. Unfair to the girls and boys who had looked up uh, to a poster of a Stratocaster and said, "Oh, I can't wait to play one of those." Like one of my guitar heroes. But now you're stepping on those toes, and you're stepping on those hearts, and you're stepping on the passion and the whole emotional reason why folks play guitar in the first place. And it has nothing to do with your freaking design, morons. How dare you? How dare you? I It hurts me. It truly does, because I grew up with Fender too, just like a lot of other folks my age group, or I'm 63 years old, so yeah, I do remember when when I should say Fender was a little bit more affordable. um, and their designs truly haven't changed. That design was life changing for many people when it first came out. In the 50s. All the way starting from Buddy Holly, and then moving up through the Jimi Hendrixes and the Eric Claptons, and then all the Gilmore, and just Richie Blackmore, till we're going through into the Eddie Van Halens, and just so much more, even to the John Mayers, Stevie Ray Vaughns. But here's what you've done. Each one of those folks that I just mentioned, the listeners were touched in an emotional way that then makes them maybe want to play like them. So basically, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, those kind of folks, they grabbed a hammer and they built a house. And then the folks that decided to pass by, they go, "Hey, that house looks cool. I like that. Can I build it like that too?" Yeah, just swing the hammer. But here's what you're telling folks. You're telling folks that only your hammer is the only hammer to be used that looks like a hammer that can build a house. Bullshit. And now you're going to have to reap the rewards of your own downfall. Because this is Fender 2.0 on steroids against every guitarist's heart of hearts. The passion to play their instrument in the first place. But you know what? Here's what I predict. The passion of a guitarist will endure and survive. And it may not have to survive with your hammer destroying the world and destroying anyone who tries to face against you. Are you kidding me? No. I guarantee you, Fender, folks are going to be supported by their own passions and their own belief and their whole emotional connectivity to their instrument. And you know what? If that instrument looks like your Stratty style, they're going to keep it. And you're not going to be able to take that guitar away from them and ask them to burn it or crush it or do anything like that. What, are you kidding me? That's their child. That's their emotional release. That's their hammer. You're not going to take their hammer away. You made a big mistake, Fender. And I'm sorry to say this, but I too have joined on to this bandwagon of how dare you do this? How dare you do this? And my heart goes out to to the to the folks in Fender who are actually making the guitars, behind the sander, behind all the tooling, all that stuff, because I'm sure they're not the ones that are serving cease and desist letters. They just want to build a guitar. They're working to feed their families. But you don't give a crap, do you? What you give a crap only is this monopolized greed that you think is just for you. Well, you know what? This is what you're going to get. No one's going to love you anymore because you don't love them. You don't love musicians now. This is showing. You don't love the musicians who loved you in the first place. You don't love the musicians who wanted to love your guitar. You don't love the musicians who have dreamt about maybe owning an authentic Fender. Because hasn't it ever occurred to you that maybe folks just couldn't afford your stuff? Maybe they had to buy alternative guitars. Maybe they found guitars that sound better, but maybe they still wanted to get an authentic Fender. But now you're killing even those folks who had a stepping stone to get to your guitar. And for what? For what? To me, I think this is one of the greatest sad stories of the guitar culture. And it hurts me. It hurts me profoundly. And I'm certain there's other folks who may feel that disconnect as well. That's all I got to say. Because I didn't think I was going to be so angry. Because anger is not my go-to character of life. But I'm not angry for me. I want to make that clear. I'm angry for all those people who you've hurt because you've put an emotional hole in their heart. That's a scar that you chose. You chose to do this. Well, you know what? The world will have to choose how they think about you now. And that's all I got to say.